My sister refused to come to my wedding. She looked me in the eyes and said, "If you marry her, you'll lose all of us." I thought she was just being jealous. I thought she couldn't accept that someone else was becoming the most important person in my life. I was completely wrong. My sister and I had always been close. After our parents passed away, she was the one who practically raised me. She came to every birthday, every graduation, every big moment in my life. So when I met my fiance, I honestly thought my sister would be happy for me. At first, she was. She smiled, she welcomed her, and she even helped me pick out the engagement ring. But after a few months, something changed. My sister never accused her outright. She never said a bad word. She just kept asking strange questions. Why doesn't she like it when you meet your friends without her? Why does she always check what you're texting? Have you noticed you haven't been to family dinner in weeks? I laughed it off. I told her she was overthinking it. I even told my fiance about those talks, and looking back, I wish I hadn't. A few weeks later, my fiance asked me to do something that felt strange. She wanted me to remove my sister as my emergency contact. We're getting married, she said. It should be me now. I agreed, not thinking much of it. Then she asked me to stop sharing personal things with my sister. She asked why I needed to call her so often. And then she pointed out every little thing my sister did. She doesn't respect our relationship. If she loved you, she'd stay out of it. Little by little, I stopped answering her calls, stopped replying to her messages. I skipped birthdays. I missed family dinners. Months went by, and somehow I convinced myself it was all her fault. Then one week before the wedding, there was a knock on my apartment door. It was my sister. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in days. She handed me a small envelope and said, "If you hate me after this, I'll understand." I didn't open it till later that night. Inside were printed screenshots, dozens of them. Messages between my fiance and another man. At first, I thought it was fake. Then I saw a picture of the two of them together. The date was the same weekend she told me she was visiting her mother. I kept reading. Then I reached the last page. One message, one sentence. The other guy asked, "What about your fiance?" She replied, "Don't worry. He barely talks to his family anymore. By the time we're married, he'll only have me." I read that sentence over and over again. It wasn't just cheating. She hadn't just lied. She had been cutting me off from everyone who loved me. And the worst part, I had been helping her do it. I called my sister immediately. She answered on the first ring. I couldn't even speak. I just started crying. She didn't say I told you so. She didn't sound angry. She just said I was waiting for your call. The wedding never happened. I ended the relationship that same night. A few weeks later, I asked my sister something I'd been thinking about. How did you know? She was quiet for a moment, then she smiled and said, "I didn't. I just knew that the right person would never ask you to give up the people who already loved you." And that's when I realized something. Real love doesn't make your world smaller. It doesn't ask you to choose. It doesn't pull you away from your family. The people who truly love you never ask you to lose everyone else just to keep